they said to me, whispering under their breath for Parrot after Flagler rules Florida. Old business associates of the dying man came to me. Brothers of mine in the Masonic order said the same thing. Oh. When I thought it over, I went to the telegraph office, and after endless trouble and refusals from the operator, which ceased after I noticed a detective looking in at me from the window, I sent the following telegram to Henry Flagler at his home in New York. Your father is calling for you. Your presence is imperative and necessary. Your father loves you dearly and longs to see your face and speak with you before he dies. Strange conditions exist, so come immediately. You see, Harry had been estranged from his father for 12 years, and it seemed to me that if every other friend were to be barred from his bedside, the son should be there. Whether the message reached him or not, I don't know. At any rate, he came immediately, but in the meantime, his father died. There were none with him but his third wife, her cousin, and Parrot, who received $100,000 from the estate, and an arrangement whereby he is to manage the East Coast system as long as he likes.
So did no one tell the son? Where was the son in all this?
So,
and how old? So I mean, if Flagler was 70, he was 83. Sorry,
80s.
When he died. So his son was not young.
His son was in his late 40s because he was born in. Flagler was nearly 40 when he was born.
Okay.
So Harry Flagler had been estranged from his father Henry for many years. He really had never gotten over his father's remarriage to the woman who had nursed his mother, which was Ida Alice.
Right.
And then things had gotten so bad between them that in 1894, when Flagler was celebrating the opening of his new hotel, Poinciana, the son...
Wait, the Royal Poinciana?
The Royal Poinciana, yeah.
Poinciana.
His son was getting married that same weekend in New York. So
And he didn't go.
he didn't go.
Okay.
I think that with the news of his divorce from Alice and then there's remarriage to a much younger woman hit the papers, that was kind of the final nail in the coffin. No pun intended. The younger Henry did make it to his father's bedside before he died, but the older was unconscious by that point, so he didn't really know that he was there.
Yeah.
Henry Flagler left the majority of his fortune to his wife, Mary Lily, and he only left a small son to his son, which I think was expected by that point. His daughter Jenny Louise had died in childbirth some years before.
Right.
And so he was interned with both his daughters and his first wife at the Memorial Presbyterian Church in St. Augustine. And the family's tomb is still there today. The story could end there, but it doesn't. Mary Lily was still relatively young and now a very wealthy widow. And by wealthy, I mean that she inherited $100 million from Flagler.
Wait, she got that much? I thought you said that was the whole estate, and she only got...
Well, I think that was a newspaper article, so they were speculating about how much she really inherited.
Yeah.
But she supposedly it was $100 million in cash and stock, which is the modern equivalent to $6 billion. She was also the sole owner of the Florida East Coast Railroad, 4 million acres of land across Florida, 11 hotels, a steamship company, the Miami Electric Company, which would later become Florida Power and Water, 2 water companies, and 3 newspapers, one of which was the Miami Herald.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't.
So she just
so much.
Automatically, he dies and she gets all of that.
Yeah.
And he had no other family. I mean, I just don't know anything about the family tree.
Yeah. Which supposedly inherited $5 million, which that sounds about right. I think I've saw that figure in another article.
But Mary Lily leaves Whitehall.
That's right. And when I first mentioned her, I've said that she had had an affair in college with a young man. So that young man was named Robert Bingham.
Oh, so she ended up marrying the guy that she had an affair with?
Yes.
Oh.
Back then, it was kind of a Romeo and Juliet story because the Kennons and the Binghams had been in a silent feud that had originated before the revolution.
But this is in North Carolina.
Right. This is originated before the Revolutionary War. Apparently the Binghams were loyalists and the Kennons were patriots. So.
Oh.
And it had never gone away.
Can't they just get over it?
I know, right?
I mean, it's like the
1910s.
I'm living in South Carolina, and I'm telling people to get over their divisions over a side and in a certain war. The irony.
It sounds like Mary Lily and Robert were in love with the totality of their relationship.
Sure.
But they were pretty hot and heavy
Sounds
for a while.
so romantic.
Yeah. So this was in 1890, and it was a year before she met Henry Flagler.
Well, so why didn't she just marry him to begin with?
Well,
because of the whole family thing?
Yeah. Her family seemed to have her pretty tied up tight. Robert left the University of North Carolina where he was studying, and some say that it was due to the Kennans' influence that he was forced out. And he ended up going to the University of Virginia. They continued to see each other off and on, but eventually Robert married a gorgeous, rich Kentucky girl whose nickname was Babe. I kid you not.
Like Babe Ruth, but a woman.
Yeah. And they moved to Louisville and had 3 children together.
Wait, what year was that again?
That was in the early 1890s.
Oh.
Rumor has it that he may have left Mary Lily with a parting gift.
A baby.
Syphilis.
Ew.
Yeah. This kind of makes sense.
I thought he knocked her up and then left.
Yeah.
Better a child than a STD.
You're right.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
Well.
So... It kind of makes sense to me that she ended up marrying a super old dude because they probably wouldn't have been expected to sleep together. And
not a whole lot.
She would have had to tell anybody that she married. Or, I mean, she would have come up with some reason. I mean, why she's not sleeping with them or...
Maybe she was.
I don't... Well, yeah, and I mean, so...
It doesn't always present, and if he's that old, she's probably like, meh.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. No. It was most likely tertiary syphilis, which is not the one that attacks your brain and attacks your body parts.
Oh, okay.
And it's also dormant for years.
It's the one that you want to have if you have it.
Yeah,
okay.
You're going to have the syph.
I'll remember that.
You want tertiary syphilis. So happens around the same time that Henry Flagler died, Robert Bingham's wife also died.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah, I know, right? And so Mary Lily and Robert were both widowed. And then the...
Widowed young?
Yeah. Well, I mean, mid-40s. Yeah, that's young. I need to say that's mid-40s. Since I'm only less than a decade before I hit that point. Yes, that is young. In the summer of 1915, Mary Lily was vacationing at the Grove Park Inn in Asheville.
Oh.
Yeah. And she ran into Robert, whose family was originally from that area. So after all this time, blah, 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 she was lonely and aging and possibly a burgeoning alcoholic with a love for laudanum.
Oh.
He was still handsome.
Is that the stuff you put in your eyes?
Laudanum? No, it's basically morphine. It's
What's the stuff you used to put in your eyes?
No clue.
There was a drop that...
It might be. I mean, because anytime you put any kind of...
It was an opiate.
Narcotic in your,
like...
soft tissues,
I feel like the Nick, I feel like Clive Owen and the Nick did that. But he gave himself all kinds of stuff. He was all kinds of trouble. Addict.
I have to look that up now.
Morphine.
In eyes.
I guess cocaine? I don't know.
And Google immediately came up with narcotic-induced constipation.
Ew. That's...
Here's what your eyes look like when you take different drugs.
Nope. Don't show me.
Too bad Tim is not here because he would know, but it was probably...
He would know.
I know. Former police officer knows everything about drugs. Anyway.
Sorry, Grove Park Inn. They met each other again. So Henry Flagler dies in Whitehall or wherever, cottage, in 1913. And I read that she... left, so they shut the house up though. Like she did not come back until 1917. I think that was the first time they just shuttered it.
Not that long. So,
well, and then she didn't.
It was
either 16 or 17, and then they. But
it was like 19.
Still didn't live there.
1916, basically. Yeah,
16, but they still didn't.
So Robert was still pretty handsome. He was a handsome devil, apparently, from all the things that I read about him. But he was also in very much debt. So, of course, debt.
From what?
Various failed business ventures. He apparently had a knack for losing money.
Okay.
So Mary Lily was excited to see him again, and see him again she did at her apartment at the Plaza in New York, at Satan's Toe, and even at Whitehall, which she opened up for the first time since Henry's death.
This is before they were married.
Right. So despite warnings from her advisors that Robert was a fortune hunter, Mary Lily married him in November of 1916.
I guess he was distinguished looking.
Less than a year after her marriage to him, she was dead.
Oh, okay. You tell the story. I read about this. I won't spoil it.
So there's been a lot of speculation. Her kin and family members...
Well, he didn't kill her.
Well, I don't know. The kin and family members have had her body exhumed. They did a posthumous autopsy, but nothing ever has been released about the results.
Caroline.
What?
An autopsy is always posthumous.
Okay, sorry. I've had 4 glasses of wine now.
You cannot do an autopsy on a living human.
No, that would be bad. Although I have read stories about recently where people, they think they're dead and they're not, and they go to like embalm them, and
no,
I mean, you're dead.
No,
because they put, I mean, that's a poison. They put the stuff in you.
Formaldehyde.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
When they buried you in the 17th or 18th century, didn't they like attach a bell, or was that alive? Is that fake?
No, it's not.
They really did that?
I actually looked it
I was
up.
like, is that something I heard on a ghost tour that's totally not true at all?
Tour, but it is very true. There were very many scientists who patented these ideas that you would attach a bell to the person. Of course, it only worked if your family was wealthy enough to have somebody to sit by your
and
grave.
listen for the bell.
Yeah.
Isn't
Otherwise,
that weird?
Yeah.
So weird.
They basically, her family has always believed that he murdered her, Robert Bingham, her husband. And then her Bingham family descendants claim that it's just an old family feud. And y'all need to let it go.
Yeah.
But people have investigated the situation and come to the general conclusion that he probably had a hand in it.
Well, she was an addict, right?
She was.
I thought she just OD'd.
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
That was my spoiler alert. Which I guess is not a spoiler since that's wrong.
Yeah. So.
Well, we don't know it's wrong, I guess.
Mary Lily had moved to Louisville and had moved in his house.
Louisville. It's 2 syllables.
Louisville. Yeah. Louisville. I've actually been around
that one.
Kentucky people and have been there, and it's Louisville.
Yeah.
Louisville.
Yeah, but it's not 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's not Louisville.
Nope.
It's Louisville. Yeah. It's kind of like my hometown, Packlet. Pacolet is how it's spelled, but it's Packlet. Yeah.
Is it spelled like a French word? Pacolet?
Sorta. Pacolet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Or is it somebody's last name? Because I don't know. That's nothing in French.
It's supposed to mean running horse in Cherokee.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's native tongue. Okay.
I remember growing up that a local newscaster pronounced it Pace-a-lot.
No.
Yes.
But it doesn't remotely look like that.
I know, right?
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to distract you.
That's okay.
Back to Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville. So Mary Lily had moved to Louisville and was now the stepmother to Bingham's 3 children, who all hated her, of course.
Yep.
One of the kids even...
Wait, you can't hate somebody who's rich. And, I mean, you need to make friends with people that are... I know,
right?
Even if it's your stepmom.
They didn't know what side their bread was buttered on. Because apparently she was a very nice person. She was very warm and engaging and all that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the kids apparently spied on her and reported to the father, that Robert Bingham, that she was a drug addict. Mm. Now, Mary Lily began to have health problems in December. So, like, little less than a month over, when they got married. So, this could be legit if she did have the SIF. It could have finally reared its nasty head.
Wait, December of what year?
19...
You have to remind me.
17?
No.
1916.
Yeah, earlier. Yeah. Okay, sure.
So, she started complaining of chest pains. And instead of calling the best doctor money could buy, because it's not like she couldn't afford it, Bingham sent for his old friend.
They went to the Doc in the Box.
Right. Mm-hmm. Is a doctor named Ravitch, Dr. Ravitch, who specialized in dermatology.
Because that's helpful for chest pains.
Exactly. So after a couple months, this old friend, Dr. Ravitch, would move into the house to better care for Mary Lily and her fragile state.
Why is he moving in?
Yeah. So what he
moving in where?
Their house,
not Whitehall.
No, to the house in Louisville.
Okay.
So what he was really doing was getting her addicted to morphine, because he was giving her morphine injections. Oh, because that's how you treat heart disease.
Okay. But if that's all he knew to do, but you're saying that like she
that's not an excuse.
Clearly could have afforded a better doctor,
Right.
and this is the friend of her husband. So
Right.
that's why you're saying he maybe is involved.
Right.
Maybe.
So
Maybe it was just all innocent and he